One Motzi Shabbos, the Baal Shem Tov took two of his students to go to the city of Brody. As they approached the city, they heard carriages coming towards them. They looked out and saw a number of very important people coming their way. One of these carriages stopped right next to them, and they realized it held the region's rabbi, who is called the state rabbi. The state rabbi peered out and said, "Welcome, who are you?" The students responded, "This is the Baal Shem Tov of Mezebush." He says, "Wow, if that's the case, I must speak to him. I must hear what he has to say." So he said, "Tell me, Mr. Baal Shem Tov, why do they call you Baal Shem? That name hardly seems fitting for a man of your stature and importance. Only simple people who deal with talisman and amulets are called by the name Shem." So the Baal Shem Tov responded. He said, "I'm called Baal Shem Tov because I'm the student of Rabbi Adam Baal Shem of Ropshitz. He sent me teachings which I poured over day and night. Another reason is that Hashem has given me the gift to know people's thoughts." "Is that so?" said the state rabbi. "In that case, do you know my thoughts?" "Of course," came the swift response from the Baal Shem Tov. "In fact, I know there's one thing in particular that's troubling you, but I cannot reveal it to you in front of everyone, only alone." So the two stepped aside, and the Baal Shem Tov revealed to the state rabbi what it was that was troubling him. The man's face grew solemn. Grimly he asked, What can I do? How can I fix this?" So the Baal Shem Tov said, "Look, I see that you have not been meticulous in your judgment. You're not judging with justice, and you're perverting the law out of the hands of the innocent, and this is a very bad thing." For a moment, the state rabbi was silent. And then he said, "In that case, I'll tell the Baal Shem Tov the case that has been brought to me now, and the verdict that I hold in my pocket. A rich man once came to a city in my region. He took over the factory of a nobleman and rented it for a little while. But this man, he wore shorts, his payouts were short, and he never came to shul to daven with the rest of us or learn in the Beit Midrash. In fact, the people started to consider him a rasha, a wicked person. Where he lived, on the outskirts of the town, was also a small village, which held a tavern keeper and his wife. The man himself was a Talmud Chacham, a very wise man who studied every day while his wife ran the tavern. But one day she had to go to the city to get more things for the tavern, and so he stayed in the tavern and served all the guests. But as time went, when she should have been back, she never came back, and he started to grow worried. Every time a carriage came, he got so excited, but at the same time trepidation took over him, not knowing if it was his wife or not. Eventually, he stayed up the whole night waiting for her, and she never came back. So in the morning, he started to walk along the road to see if he could find her. And you can't imagine his excitement when he saw her emerging from the house of this rich man. But immediately, he grew scared and worried and angry that perhaps his wife, who was very beautiful and known for her beauty, was succumbed to this man, this rich man. And so he went over and said, "What are you doing staying at this man's house?" She said, "Look, my carriage broke down, and he didn't want me to walk back at night, being a woman by myself, and so he welcomed me into his house, and I stayed here, and now I'm leaving in the morning." He says, "No, I think you're lying to me." And she said, "No, you're wrong," and she went home. This man brought the case to the courts, and they tried everything. They pressured the woman to admit her guilt, but she kept saying, "I did nothing wrong." So then the case was brought to me, and I came, and I pressured the woman, and we demanded to know what she did, but she kept saying I did nothing wrong. So then we brought in the rich man, and we lashed him, and we beat him, and we demanded that he admit his guilt, but he kept saying that he did nothing wrong. And so, that's the case that I hold in my pocket. What do you think I should do? The Baal Shem Tov says, "Well, what do you intend to do?" He says, "I intend to forbid the wife to her husband, and to sentence this rich man to prison." The Baal Shem Tov says, "Then it's a very good thing that I've come here today, because you should know there's a decree in heaven against your life, meaning that in this coming year you will die. And it's because you're too easy to judge this man and his wife and to separate them. And you pervert the law all the time, judging alone and without witnesses. You should know that this rich man that you lashed is a righteous tzaddik. He's a righteous man. And he doesn't come to shul, and he doesn't pray with everyone because he conceals all his actions so that no one should know how holy he really is. And because you've lashed him and you beat him, there's a decree against your life. And so, unless you can go to this man and placate him and ask for his forgiveness and receive his forgiveness, You will die within this coming year." Immediately, the state rabbi fell to the ground, apologetic, grateful to the Baal Shem Tov for saving his life.